Watching the newsroom. Breaking this hour. The head of Ukraine's delegation for talks with Russia has traveled to Istanbul to help unblock the process for the exchange of prisoners of war. This move aims to resolve a crucial aspect of the ongoing conflict. Meanwhile, on the war front, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has reported that the situation in Pokrovsk remains difficult due to bad weather, which is currently benefiting Russian attacks. Zelensky has also stated that Russia is intensifying assaults in southeastern Zaporizhia region, further escalating tensions and military actions in the area. Ukraine's Anti-Corruption Bureau has also announced an investigation into alleged corruption within the country's energy sector, specifically targeting a $100 million kickback scheme involving the state-owned nuclear power company Energoatom. The Bureau identified a former Deputy Prime Minister as a suspect in the investigation. This scheme is said to involve a high-level criminal organization, including a businessman, a former energy minister's advisor, and Energoatom's head of security, along with 4 other employees. This investigation comes at a critical time as Ukraine's energy sector faces heightened challenges, including frequent attacks from Russia and widespread power outages, particularly as the country braces for the upcoming winter. News updates coming in from Turkey. The Defense Ministry has confirmed the crash of a C-130 military cargo plane near the Georgia-Azerbaijan border. As per reports, 20 Turkish officials were on board. The plane had departed from Azerbaijan and was en route to Turkey when it went down. Search and rescue operations are now underway in coordination with the Georgian and Azerbaijani authorities. Turkey's Minister of Interior, Ali Yerkilya, has communicated with his Georgian counterpart regarding the incident, while the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan expressed deep sorrow. Let's in fact listen in to what the Turkish President had to say.
Bugün Azerbaycan'dan ülkemize gelmekte olan C-130 tipi askeri uçağımızın Gürcistan-Azerbaycan sınırında düştüğü bilgisini derin bir üzüntüyle öğrendik. Enkaza ulaşma çalışmalarıyla ilgili ülke makamları ile koordineli biçimde çalışmalarımız devam ediyor. İnşallah bu kazadan en az bir badire ile
Meanwhile, the Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev has expressed condolences to Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, mourning the loss of servicemen in the crash. No details have been released about the cause of the crash or the number of casualties yet. The video footage aired on Turkish media appears to show the plane spiraling downward with a trail of smoke until it crashed. Authorities are also continuing the investigation. Breaking news coming in from Germany. The federal police have arrested a suspected right-wing extremist accused of plotting to assassinate more than a dozen politicians and public figures. The suspect, a 49-year-old Martin S., who holds both German and Polish citizenship, faces multiple charges including financing terrorism, abetting violence, and endangering the state. Authorities say that the suspect circulated a list of targets which included former chancellors Olaf Scholz and Angela Merkel via a dark site. He is also alleged to have collected donations to pay bounties for the killings. Now the arrest took place in Dortmund yesterday evening, carried out by federal police and special forces. Meanwhile, Germany's government is increasing its efforts to combat political extremism after a sharp rise in right-wing criminal incidents in 2022. The country reportedly saw a 48% increase in such incidents. Iraqi officials have cast their ballots in the country's parliamentary elections held at a crucial moment for Iraq and the wider region. Minister of Communications Siam Al-Yasari emphasized the importance of voting. Let's listen in.
هذا ما يغير شيء لأنه بالنهاية دستورنا باقي ونظامنا البرلماني باقي، والنظام البرلماني يقول أنه لا يمكن التغيير ومحاربة الفساد إلا من خلال صناديق الاقتراع. اللي قاطع غير هو قصده يحارب الفساد، فشلون يحارب الفساد وهو جالس في البيت؟ لازم يطلع يختار له واحد نزيه حتى يساعد هذا النزيه أنه هو يحارب الفساد.
However, the voter turnout has been reported as low in some major cities, with many Iraqis expressing disillusionment with the political system. Despite this, citizens across the country, from Baghdad to Mosul, are hopeful for progress. Listen in.
يعني ما لنا غير هالفرصة 4 سنوات، يعني ما معلوم ميتين طيبين بعد الأربعة اللي يعني احنا الآن نأسس لأحفادنا ولأولادنا هذا الشيء. يعني لازم نغير الوجوه، ما ظل مستمرة نفس الوجوه.
Now, as Iraq heads to the polls, the results could determine the future of the country's delicate political balance and its relations with both Iran and the United States. In related developments, Iraqi forces track security incidents in Baghdad as people cast their votes. Listen in.
حتى هذه اللحظة الوضع الأمني جيد جدا ويسير بانسيابية عالية، وهنالك إقبال من قبل المواطنين. التنسيق الأمني العالي ربما ساهم في انسيابية هذا الموضوع، وأيضا الإشراف المباشر والمواقف المباشرة. في الانتخابات السابقة كانت المواقف الأمنية تنقل عن طريق النداءات وعن طريق الهواتف، أما اليوم فهي تنقل عن طريق هذا البرنامج المؤمن وبطريقة البول.
Now shifting our focus to the Middle East, in Gaza, civil defense teams have exhumed around 20 bodies from the yard of the Sheikh Radwan clinic in northern Gaza City. Officials have said that the bodies were hastily buried during the war as fighting made proper burials impossible, and that many of the victims remain unidentified. According to civil defense workers, between 80 and 90 people were trapped under the rubble in the area, but only about 10% have been identified by the family so far. Rescue efforts continue as authorities work to recover and identify the remaining victims. This comes amid widespread destruction and ongoing humanitarian challenges in Gaza. Let's in fact listen in to what some of the Gazans had to say.
بمعدات بسيطة ننتشل هؤلاء الشهداء. هؤلاء الشهداء عدد كبير منهم مجهول، لم يتم التعرف على عدد كبير من هؤلاء الشهداء. أكثر من 80 ل 90 شهيد موجودين في الأنقاض، وعدد العائلات التي تعرفت على أبنائها لا تتجاوز 10%.
الشهداء عندنا اندفنوا هنا لحالة اضطرارية وليس مقابر، هذه مقابر شرعية تابعة للأوقاف. بسبب الاحتلال، بسبب الحرب، الضروس، الإبادة اللي قعدت عندنا استمرت أكثر من عامين، اضطروا الأهالي أن يدفنوا شهدائهم في ساحات العامة والطرقات.
هذه ابني أنا مدفون، وأنا كنت أحلم أن أنا أنقله في قبر، لكن للأسف اليوم احنا مش عارفين نقبره، مش عارف نشملوا في الشهداء. كان مدني، إنسان مدني استشهد في حرم المستشفى المعمداني الأهلي العربي.
Breaking developments coming in from Indonesia. The Indonesian police revealed that the student suspected of detonating blasts at a mosque in Jakarta last week was motivated by vengeance and inspired by white supremacist and neo-Nazi attacks. The blast, which occurred during Friday prayers at a mosque within a school complex in the Kelapa Gading area, injured at least 96 people. Police have discovered 7 homemade explosives and in and around the mosque, some even concealed in Coca-Cola cans. The suspect, a 17-year-old student from an adjacent school, remains unnamed but is referred to as a child facing the law. Authorities are continuing their investigation into the attack. Let's in fact listen in to what the Jakarta police had to say.
Akan hasil penyelidikan Sementara anak yang berkonflik dengan hukum atau yang disingkat ABH yang terlibat dalam ledakan tersebut diketahui merupakan seorang siswa SMA aktif yang bertindak secara mandiri dan tidak terhubung dengan jaringan teror tertentu. Berdasarkan hasil penyelidikan, sementara anak yang berkonflik dengan hukum atau yang disingkat ABH yang terlibat dalam ledakan tersebut diketahui merupakan seorang siswa SMA aktif yang bertindak secara mandiri dan tidak terhubung dengan jaringan teror tertentu. Dari satuan kerja kepolisian yang bekerja berdasarkan data terakhir yang kami himpun, total korban akibat peristiwa tersebut tercatat sebanyak 96 orang dengan rincian 67 orang luka ringan, 26 luka sedang, dan 3 orang luka berat.
The death toll from a capsized boat carrying Rohingya migrants from Myanmar has risen to 27 after more bodies were recovered at sea by rescuers in Thailand and Malaysia. The Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency has reported finding 8 more bodies and also a survivor of northern Langkawi Island, bringing the total to 14 survivors. Meanwhile, in Thailand, a man's body was found in the southern province and 6 more bodies were recovered in the waters over the weekend. Now, authorities are saying that about 70 people were on board the capsized boat. Moreover, a large vessel with 300 people departed from Myanmar's Butidong town, splitting into 3 smaller boats near Malaysia. One of the boats reportedly sank near Turatau Island. Let's now hear from some of the survivors and the rescue team involved in the operation.
Murar ani Saigoror Madutin 5 জন একসাথে আসছিলাম ইতারারে এটা কানা ফুলা ফাইলাম ফুলা ইয়ান লয়রে হাঁসা ধরি ওরে 3 দিন আসছিলাম 3 দিন বাদে আইকানে স্টিমবুট মাঠাই স্টিমবুট yang lera ara itara ki kerja situ tong goji.
Kalau kita tengok 4 hari dia berada di situ sebab di situ dia ada air terjun Tamar dipanggil. Sumber air tawar dia boleh dapatkan air untuk dia minum lagi lah. Dia kita tengok daripada segi fizikal dia nampak keletihan lah. Bila 4 hari kita tak makan ni, kita cuba bagi dia air dan makanan. Makanan pun dia tak boleh press terlalu banyak lah. Kita takut mendatangkan kesan yang lain kan. Kita cuba bagi dia makanan dan semua air lah. Supaya dia bertenang dan relax lah.
Turkey's opposition has condemned the indictment against Istanbul Mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu, calling it judicial interference in politics. Özgür Özel, the leader of the opposition Republican People's Party, said the charges against İmamoğlu were politically motivated and aimed at blocking his potential presidential bid into 2028. Özel argued that the legal case was not about justice but was intended to prevent the CHP, which emerged as the leading party in recent local elections, from fielding Ekrem as a candidate. The indictment has sparked widespread criticism, with many in the opposition accusing the government of using the judicial system to undermine political rivals. Now shifting our focus to Ireland, as the new head of state, Catherine Connolly, has been sworn in as the country's new president at a ceremony in Dublin Castle, following her landslide election victory last month. In her inaugural speech, the 68-year-old barrister said that Ireland is particularly well placed to lead as the nation prepares to take over the European Union's rotating presidency in the second half of 2026. Connolly becomes Ireland's 10th president since the state's founding in 1922, marking a new chapter in the country's political history. Let's in fact listen in to what the Irish president had to say.
The people have spoken and have given their president a powerful mandate to articulate their vision for a new republic. A republic worthy of its name, where everyone is valued and diversity is cherished, where sustainable solutions are urgently implemented, and where a home is a fundamental human right. We were led to believe that it was too great a leap, that our ideas were too far out, too left, at odds with the prevailing narrative. In shared conversations all over the country, however, it became evident that the dominant narrative did not reflect or represent people's values and concerns.
The human rights groups in Tunisia are raising concerns as authorities have temporarily suspended the activities of several NGOs, warning of a broader crackdown on civil society. The Tunisian League for Human Rights claims that these suspensions are part of a policy aimed at silencing independent voices and dismantling Tunisia's civil society. The groups affected include the Tunisian Forum for Social and Economic Rights, the Association of Democratic Women, and the World Organization Against Torture. Additionally, independent media outlets like Infaida and Nabat have been temporarily suspended. Critics argue that these actions reflect the growing repression since President Kais Saied's power grab in 2021. Let's in fact listen in to what some journalists and workers had to say.
اليوم المجتمع المدني يطلق صرخة فزع، يطلق صرخة فزع هذه للتنديد بحملة التضييق اللي صاير على المجتمع المدني منذ مدة، معناها قبل حملات التعليق طبقا للمرسوم 88 فما أبحاث جزائية في بعض الجمعيات، فما ناس تمشي تبحث في قضايا في فرق مكافحة الإجرام، في الفرق متخصصة في القضايا المالية المتشعبة، واليوم جينا إلى هذه قرارات التعليق اللي طالت عديد الجمعيات.
اليوم سياق سياسي يتسم بخطاب متشنج تجاه الأحزاب، تجاه المنظمات، وتجاه خاصة النقابات ما يسمى بالأجسام الوسيطة. هذا الخطاب المتشنج يتم ترجمته عن طريق الأجهلة بالتضييق، بالهرسلة القانونية، وخاصة بما يسمى مش تجميد بقدر ما هو إيقاف نشاط لمدة يعني تقريبا شهر بتعليلات واهية بالنسبة لنا لا يمكن.
Breaking news coming in from Serbia. Thousands of protesters have gathered in Serbia's capital city, Belgrade, to demonstrate against a new law that will speed up the conversion of a former army headquarters into a luxury compound. Now, the legislation was approved last week, which reportedly allowed US President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner's Affinity Global Development firm to develop the site into a hotel, apartments, shops, and offices. Many Serbs view the former military headquarters, which was in 1999 NATO bombing, as a symbol of Yugoslav history. Moreover, opposition politicians have called the law unconstitutional, but it was passed to maintain strong ties with the United States. Let's now hear from local Serbian protesters who took to the streets to express their opposition to the law.
Ne očekujem puno, verujte mi. Iako smo stalno na ulici, ja zaista ne očekujem puno, barem do ostvarenja njihovog sna, a to je Expo.
Jer kraja nema poniženju. Ovo je nešto što udara na nacionalni identitet i na doživljaj kontinuiteta kulture i tradicije svih nas. Mislim da je krajnje ponižavajuće i da nekako pitamo se gde je granica tome i ima li kraja.
Pa ja sam ovdje bio u ovoj zgradi upravo sa pričom mojim prijateljima, onako emotivno, ok, imam neku vezu ličnu, kad sam bio u vojsci, znači bio sam ovdje par mjeseci, ali generalno više ovo gledam kao deo kulturnog nasleđa i to prosto ne možemo da damo.
Now this move follows a year of anti-government protests in Serbia triggered after a deadly railway station collapse last year. Despite the protests, the Serbian government has stripped the old compound of its protected status last November. Breaking news coming in from France. The French President Emmanuel Macron marked the 107th anniversary of Armistice Day with a solemn ceremony at the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. The day commemorates the end of World War, which claimed the lives of around 10 million people, and the signing of the armistice on November 11th on 1918, bringing an end to the war. Macron, escorted by cavalry, laid flowers at the tomb of the unknown soldier, reviewed troops, and signed the Golden Book of Visitors. The French leader also paid tribute at the Invalides, where he unveiled a plaque for soldiers who died in World War II. Across Europe, similar ceremonies were held, with Belgium unveiling a renovated memorial in Naples and the UK marking Remembrance Day with wreath-laying services. Xiamen Qian, a 47-year-old Chinese woman dubbed the Goddess of Wealth, was sentenced to 11 years and 8 months in prison by UK court for orchestrating a multi-billion-dollar Ponzi scheme. The scam defrauded 128,000 people in China between 2014 and 2017, raising billions of dollars, much of which was converted to Bitcoin. After fleeing to the UK in 2017, she evaded capture for years, with British police seizing 61,000 Bitcoins worth over £5 billion. Qian, who pleaded guilty to possessing criminal property, was arrested in 2024. Her accomplice, Seng Hong Lee, was sentenced to nearly 5 years in prison. Let's in fact listen in to what the UK police had to say.
But this case is about far more than the assets seized. These funds originated from a large-scale fraud that targeted and harmed more than 128,000 victims in China from 2014 to 2017. Many people lost their life savings, and the emotional and financial impact on them was devastating. Today's outcome is a step towards justice for those victims.
Greek farmers are facing a $700 million shortfall in EU aid and other payments after a corruption scandal in which some farmers, aided by state employees, faked land ownership, as per the unions protesting in Athens. The EU in June imposed a €392 million fine on Greece over the misuse of EU funds, in which some Greek farmers faked pastoral land ownership to receive EU aid. EU prosecutors are now investigating potential crimes, and a government official has acknowledged the backlog and confirmed that it was due to delays in payment amid investigations since the scandal emerged. A government minister had also said in September that farmers had misappropriated EU agricultural subsidies worth more than €22 million over 5 years by faking land ownership. The delays come at a time when Greek farmers are also struggling with an outbreak of sheeppox, which has led to hundreds of thousands of sheep and goats being culled. Listen in to what the protesters had to say.
Πέρυσι έπρεπε να έχει δώσει 660 εκατομμύρια από τον Ιούνιο σε αγρότες και κτηνοτρόφους από μια σειρά προγράμματα, αποζημιώσεις κτλ. Έχει δώσει περίπου στα 50-55 εκατομμύρια ως τώρα. Λοιπόν, έχει υποσχεθεί για διάφορες άλλες πληρωμές. Δεν έχει δοθεί ούτε το τσεκ τους προκαταβολής από τις επιδοτήσεις. Δεν υπάρχει ρευστότητα αυτή τη στιγμή για να μπορέσουμε να καλλιεργήσουμε. Οι τράπεζες και τα γραμμάτια διαμαρτύρονται.
Νιώθουμε πραγματικά απογοητευμένοι, θυμωμένοι, αλλά δεν είμαστε εδώ επέτες, είμαστε εδώ για να πάρουμε αυτά που δικαιούμαστε.
Αισθάνομαι άσχημα γιατί έχω ένα παιδί και το μέλλον είναι αβέβαιο. Η κτηνοτροφία κινδυνεύει πάρα πολύ, δεν ξέρουμε το αύριο, δεν ξέρουμε τι θα γίνει με την ευλογιά, τι θα γίνει με τις επιδοτήσεις. Είμαστε σε συνεχή κίνδυνο.
Now we shift our focus to India as the air pollution worsens in the nation's capital, Delhi. The authorities have implemented stage 3 of the Graded Response Action Plan with immediate effect. This came after the overall air quality index of Delhi fell into severe category for the first time this season. Within GRAP 3, the non-essential construction and demolition activities are completely banned. Secondly, all private BS3 petrol and BS4 diesel LMVs in Delhi, Gurugram, Faridabad and Ghaziabad and Noida are banned. Under this stage, private companies are also advised to adopt work from home or hybrid arrangements to help reduce vehicle emissions. The schools up to the class 5th are also asked to remain closed and classes are shifted online. Let's in fact listen in to what a construction worker, Mohammad Arif, had to say. Cristiano Ronaldo has confirmed that the 2026 FIFA World Cup will be his last, stating that he will be 41 years old by the time the tournament takes place. In an interview at the Tourist Summit in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, Ronaldo expressed that he has given everything to football over his 25-year career and has achieved numerous records. He reflected on his accomplishments, including being the all-time leading goal scorer in international soccer with 143 goals and becoming the first ever male player to score in the World Cups. Ronaldo also mentioned he is enjoying the moment but plans to retire soon. Taking place across the US, Mexico and Canada. Let's in fact listen in to his statement.
1-2 years, I'm still be at the game.
So you expect this World Cup to be your last, do you?
Definitely yes, because I will be 41 years old, and I think will be the moment, and in a big competition, that I don't know yet, as I told you before, I'm enjoying the moment. But when I mean soon, it's really soon, because I give everything for football. I'm in the game for the last 25 years.
With that, it's a wrap on the newsroom. Keep watching for more news updates.